For K-pop, it was another immensely successful year with a wide range of artists and their music getting love worldwide. Now today, we want to take a look back at the key K-pop trends and achievements of 2024 and the industry as a whole. For that, we're connected live to Jeff Benjamin, a K-pop expert and contributor to Billboard, Forbes, Rolling Stone, and more. Hello, Jeff.
Hello, Jeff.
Hello, thank you guys for having me.
Thanks for joining the show. Now, first off, as a K-pop expert, Jeff, what do you see as the biggest K-pop issue or issues of 2024?
Yeah, I mean, you guys said it before in Walter's segment, there's been so many great chart achievements on a global scale, particularly in another really far-reaching international year for K-pop, whether it was the charts, whether it was seeing artists take on stadium shows, whether it was going, winning new awards or going to festivals. There were so many, global achievements in that way. But I guess to me, the biggest issue, and that word is an interesting word to use, but it was super, super fascinating for me as a reporter to be watching the, sort of the internal power struggle between Hive and famed creative director Min Hee-jin and New Jeans to an extent. Just because, this wasn't just about, two sides having an issue over a contract. It brought to light so many different aspects of this K-pop industry and so many things that maybe, especially from an international perspective, that we hadn't ever considered or we hadn't ever heard about. So I learned a lot in terms of this case as well, and just reporting it, watching it come all out in the ways that it has. And I think many of the things that came out this year were important to talk about when we're thinking about K-pop growing in sort of this global, larger way, and how can it be a global player with all these aspects to consider. So, there's a lot that has happened with this story. We're showing the kind of infamous press conference right now from Min Hee-jin. I've never seen that before personally, but yeah, that's I think I would go that story because I think there's a lot of things that need to get addressed as we kind of move forward with K-pop's global expansion.
Right. I think it's very interesting because K-pop has been in the spotlight for many years now. Those issues that may seem kind of like internal domestic issues now are also in the spotlight worldwide. So yes, Walter, you also have a question.
Yeah, so kind of going on what you said there, is there any of that expected to continue to be in the next year's spotlight? Do you think, obviously, this is going to be an ongoing situation?
Yeah, I definitely think it will be, not just this specific situation, but, as K-pop agencies, right, are creating more localized, whether it's localized groups or, expanding to having US headquarters, Latin American headquarters, whatever it might be. I do think we're going to kind of see more aspects of this industry that have been so kind of commonplace or maybe held as standards for a while. Right now, I know there's a current issue happening with JYP Entertainment's USA segments and their global girl group Vicha. So I think it's going to be a really interesting time, and not to say that any court cases have been decided or anyone's in the wrong or anything like that, but I just feel like this conversation is not over, and we're kind of going to continue to see sort of the story of artists and agencies continue on in 2025.
Right, we're also going to keep an eye on these issues. But now let's move on to maybe a little bit more brighter news. Now, as a K-culture program, we have been covering K-entertainment news on a daily basis. And some K-pop idols have been in the news almost on a regular basis, almost every week or even more frequently. Walter just talked about Jungkook today. So we're going to talk about BTS a little bit. So despite most of the members still being in military service, their achievements on the global stage have been, again, huge to say the least. So let's talk a bit about BTS, Jeff.
Oh yeah, I mean, just another huge year for BTS and just so exciting because my biggest thing was, especially in America and in the West, when we hear a group is going on hiatus or they're taking a break, we think, this is the end of the group. We're not going to see more from them. But all these members really, really did a ton of amazing things this year. I mean, right now we have Christmas music from V. Jin ended his military service after completing it. We finally got that solo album from him that we've been waiting for so long, and it made it so every single member of BTS has a top 10 album on the Billboard 200 chart. So that's pretty crazy, especially when you think about the fact that there's 7 members. This isn't just 4 or 5; it's 7. So it was a great achievement for that. RM's album got a ton of critical praise when it came to just making year-end lists, whether it was Rolling Stone. Here at Billboard, me and our team of staff writers, we named RM's Wrong Place, Right Person, or rather, Right Place, Wrong Person. I kind of get the title a little mixed up.
Because
Sorry,
there's the
Army.
documentary too, right?
Exactly, and the documentary. It was just such a great year for him as an artist. And even though he wasn't, here to explain every single step of the journey, he had a really, really great year. And we also just saw how amazing, Jimin's "Who" single did. Jungkook's "Standing Next to You" song has continued to do so. Huge accomplishments across the board for the guys, and I couldn't be happier to see it.
Now, 2024 was also a massive year for girl groups, especially fourth generation girl groups. So what are the factors that led to their success, do you think, and what differentiates them from previous generations, would you say?
I personally never really understood why it felt like the girl groups were almost like, a little underrated comparatively to, lots of the boy groups. But I couldn't be happier to see these female troops, really putting out super, super strong singles and being able to kind of take them around the world. I mean, this year we saw Twice not only have several stadium shows in the US, they got their first #1 album on the Billboard 200 with their With Youth album. We got to see IVE have sold out, a sold out US tour. Kiss of Life also sold out their US tour. There were really, really great moments for the girl groups, especially as we got to see them grow and get new opportunities that we haven't seen before. And I also got to and I know she's not a girl group, but I got to give a shout out to IU because she gave her first, world tour finally after so long, and she sold out all those dates, and she gave an amazing show. So got to give a big shout out to IU as well.
Definitely mentionable. I think she also recently had a big interview with Billboard as well. But Jeff, there were also some much anticipated comebacks by idol stars, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, this year was so fun, especially for like longtime fans. And it's kind of funny because groups like Big Bang and 21, these were the groups that were very accessible to me as someone who got into K-pop just as YouTube was really taking off. So these groups were just starting, very much popular. But this year was the year we got to see, 21 make their reunion tour throughout Asia, which I'm really, really hoping will make its way to America because we would love to see the girls again. But this year too, we saw the return of G-Dragon after so many years, finally making his solo comeback, but then also giving us the very nostalgic song "Come Back Home" with Daesung and Taeyang of Big Bang. And that song it honored their legacy. It felt perfectly suited to them. So it was super exciting to see, these classic YG Entertainment artists come back, but also, EXO members like Baekhyun and Chan and Zoomin all released new albums under their new companies, as well as Dio put out a new album under his independent company. So really exciting stuff as all these artists enter new chapters of their careers.
Definitely.
We sort of briefly touched upon it with BTS and how they're kind of doing their own solo projects, and some K-pop stars successfully went solo this year as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about them?
Yeah, I mean, you could take your pick this year because there are so many great breakout solo artists from the past year. I mean, I personally can't say enough about RM's very artistic way of expressing himself. It was a very, very multi-genre, multi-sensory experience with his album that also got a documentary as well. But we also, what I thought was really, really special about this year was that we saw so many artists kind of leave their comfort zone and go to new places, new spaces that they hadn't seen. Look at three of the Blackpink members, Lisa, Jenny, and Rosé, all put out solo music this year. Rosé breaking records with her single Apatu with Bruno Mars, still a hot track. She just put out her solo album that was able to chart the highest ever for a female K-pop soloist on the Billboard 200. So huge congrats to Rosé. And then also, some of my favorite albums actually came from a lot of artists that did, go into new parts of their career. Onu from SHINee released another new mini album this year under his new company, Griffin Entertainment. And I love that record. And I love seeing him getting the chance to still continue his work with SHINee, but also be able to experiment and share more of himself as an artist.
And finally, Jeff, as a K-pop columnist, what do you think is the most outstanding change or achievement in K-pop this year? And also, what are you looking forward to next year?
Ooh, that's a big question. The most outstanding achievement. I mean, we did talk about it earlier, and I want to give a tiny bit of clarification with the Stray Kids. The Stray Kids record is that they're not just the first ever group to get 6 albums at #1. They're actually the first artist ever in like the Billboard 200s, 60, 70-year history to be able to land their first 6 entries at #1. So, it's not just about boy bands, not just about, pop stars. This is about every artist literally ever. So I really have to say that that is a historic moment, and that just broke this year. So it's going to be tough to top that one. But I also always just think when we get to see more artists speaking out and sharing more of themselves and sharing who they are and sharing their stories, I always think that's a huge win. I love seeing that, whether it was Jungkook's documentary or RM's documentary that hit theaters this year. We've seen more artists go on different web series and digital series. I think it's always a win when we get to see, the human side of artists. And that's what I actually really hope to bring to K-pop in the future. And that's what I'm most excited about in 2025. See more of these artists express themselves and getting the chance to share themselves as humans as well as artists.
Great. Can't wait for next year and in the world of K-pop. And thank you very much, Jeff, for your insights today. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you, Jeff.
Happy holidays. Thank you, guys. Take care.
Thank you. Walter, we won't be seeing you for the next 2 days or so. So Happy Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas.
Not Happy New Year yet.